Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Marco Podcast.
A show dedicated to the realness of organization and entrepreneurship. This space was created for every woman who needs motivation or inspiration to get organized and to keep going after her dream. I'm your host, Angel J. Sit back and prepare for valuable tips, resources, laugh, and much more. If this is your first time here, welcome and thanks for joining. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you brought a friend. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I am going to be talking about a major problem that I have, and that is overcommitting. Did you know that overcommitting can lead to disorganization as well as to burnout? Um, I think I know that very well, but yet for some reason, I continue to do it. Like, why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we continue to overcommit, knowing how crazy it drives us, knowing that it can just get so disorganized and make things so complicated. So this year, I told myself that I wasn't going to have a repeat of last year with overcommitting. And I actually should say probably last year I told myself that I wasn't going to commit myself to so much stuff. Like I just committed myself to everything that I feel like I could think of last year, and I was just exhausted. Exhausted. So last year I joined the sewing club at church because I like to sew, and I was like, "Oh, that'll be a way for me to keep up with my sewing and really make sure that I'm staying in it." And it was supposed to just be like making blankets. I was like, "Okay, cool. That'll be great. I can do that." I also decided that I was going to become an ambassador for a brunch social group without ever actually having gone to a brunch. So maybe in like 2021, one of my cousins had told me about this group, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, that'll be cool. I can join that to connect with people and maybe network with some people, because that was when I had started my other business, and I was like, maybe network with some people, maybe get some business. And so I like looked into it and I thought about going, but I would always chicken out of actually going to a brunch, because y'all know I'm an introvert and takes me a while to warm up to people. So I never actually went. So last summer probably, I decided that I was finally going to check out this brunching group and go to it. Well, they no longer had an ambassador in my area. And I was like, man, I was like, that sucks. I was like, I really wanted to check this out. And so right when I was thinking about like checking out, I think like a couple of days later, they posted about needing an ambassador for the area and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I just jumped headfirst into it. And I was like, if I'm the ambassador, then I actually have to go to the brunches. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to do that. Then I was also helping someone find locations for the retreat. I joined the book launch team for one of my favorite speakers and authors who comes to my church a lot. I just love her, and so I joined her book launch team, which was super cool. I really did enjoy being a part of the book launch team. And then I was also still trying to make shirts, and I was trying to do other items that people asked me for. Like I wasn't necessarily doing my crafting business, but if someone called me and was like, "Hey, I need you to make a shirt for me," or "Can you make a shirt for me?" or "Can you make a blanket for me?" or "Do you think you can do this for me?" And I was still trying, like, even things that I didn't do, I was still trying to like make those things for them. And then there's the whole, being a wife and a mom and working full time and trying to do a podcast, as well as trying to really focus on my other business. So my to-do list was never ending. Like my to-do list had to-do lists, and I'm pretty sure those to-do lists had to-do lists as well. And I just honestly felt like there was just not enough hours in the day, the week, or the month to do everything that I had committed to. Like, I was so stressed out and overcommitted that I was talking in my sleep. And I've never talked in my sleep. And I mean, I've heard about like people like sleep talking and stuff like that, and it usually just being like ramblings and stuff. But like, y'all, I was actually like full on like sleep talking, and I was talking about the stuff that was on my never ending to do list that I had going on. My husband was like, Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He was like, "You were talking in your sleep." And I was like, "What was I talking about?" And he was like, "I couldn't really make it all out, but I could make some of it out." And he was like, "You were talking about this and that." And I was like, "Oh, that's all the stuff that I have to get done." And so you would think that that would make me be like, "Whoa, let's slow down some." But no, I didn't. So, as I said earlier, I think maybe like mid November of last year, I just started deciding on things that I was just not going to do anymore. And I was like, okay, is this bringing me joy? Is this bringing me fulfillment? Is it helping me to reach my goals that I have set for myself? If it's not, then it needs to go. So I had already given up the brunch club by that point. I think I did it for 1 month. And that 1 month, like, it was just a lot because you're having to call around and find places and set it up. And it was a lot. So I gave it up after that 1 month. And then I was probably the ambassador for like 2 months, maybe. We only actually had one brunch, and I had already planned, I think, two more brunches. But yeah, I was done. And then my part of the retreat planning was done. And then also the book launch was completed. So I was like, okay, that's off my list. So then I also finished the blankets that I was working on for the sewing club. And I had some other little things that I was doing as well for it, like making like bibs and different little things like that. And so I was just like, okay, either tired when I got home from work and had like a lot of stuff to do, or either we had stuff going on as a family. And I was like, I can't make the meeting I think they were from like 6 to 8 or something like that on a Thursday. And I was like, I can't make it. And then the other ones were on like a Saturday morning or something. So I gave that up, and I told him, I was like, hey, if I happen to make something, I'll be more than happy to give it to you, but I'm not like fully on committing to this anymore. And I I told myself that I was like, from now on, I'm only making shirts for like family, because I was making shirts. I even contemplated like selling my sublimation printer, still kind of debating about it, because I was just like, I'm not doing it as much anymore. And I never wanted to do shirts. Like, that's the thing, that I never wanted to do shirts like at all. And so now I have the sublimation printer here that is just kind of sitting here looking at me. So if anyone is in my area and you're interested in a sublimation printer, let me know. I have some extra ink as well. And some paper. So, send me an email. We can talk about this. That's where I was in November of last year. And 2024 rolls around, and guess what happens, y'all? Who starts overcommitting themselves again? Me. So this time I caught myself with the overcommitting. I was like, okay, Angel, you're doing too much. You need to stop this. Well, but that didn't really stop me from overcommitting. So I start signing up for stuff, or I start like seeing stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I can do that. Or I was like, oh, that would be so interesting for me to do. And then I was like, well, when I'm going to have time to do all this, as well as stay on top of all of the other things that I'm going. Like, I'm talking to myself and I'm telling myself this, but then I'm also telling myself, you can do it. You got this. So I just kept going. I started creating the courses for my business. I started signing up for the bundles to promote myself more. My son wanted to do soccer again. Of course, we're gonna let him do soccer. Like, we're not gonna stop him from doing, his activity and like he likes to do. So got him signed up for that. I started planning our spring break trip. Then started thinking about things to do for my husband's birthday. And I also wanted to do some type of home project that would more than likely involve me reorganizing something, or trying to talk my husband into buying something that I needed to reorganize, or to complete this home project that I decided we just had to do. And so my list, it just kept growing and growing, and I kept having to move things to the next day or to the next week, or be like, ooh, do I really need to get that done right now? I can put this off for a little bit. And so I guess God was like, you know what? We're not going to do this year. You already gave yourself your pep talk. You told yourself that you weren't going to overcommit this year. And here we are, 2 weeks into the year. Yep, 2 weeks. And you have already started committing yourself to all the stuff and overcommitting, and you're going to get burnt out and frustrated and stressed out again. So, you all know what happens when you don't listen to God. He has a way of making you listen. So that's when the accident happened. And by that time, I had already committed myself to too much, but none of that mattered anymore, because the only thing I wanted to do was sleep. And if you're sleeping, you can't overcommit yourself because you can't make decisions about anything, right? So whenever I did feel up to like getting up or moving around or anything like that, I would use that time to get my priorities together, because as I told you on the last episode, like I couldn't really look at screens or anything like that, or a couple of episodes ago, I couldn't like look at screens and stuff. So I would put pen to paper, and this took time for me to like sit down and get my thoughts out and get everything organized, because I really just wanted to be awake long enough to readjust the covers and move my son's Slinky Box plushies back to the other side of the bed or the floor. He was so sweet with making sure that I had them to cuddle with, but they were taking up a lot of room in the bed. So yeah, I sat down, I made my list, and I what I did was I followed the organizing guide that I actually created myself, that I actually created about 2 years ago. And I just sat down and I was like, okay, what is a priority? And that helped me to see that a lot of what I was doing was busy work, or a lot of it was like repetitive type stuff. And I was doing everything and accomplishing nothing, because I was just committing to stuff just to commit to it. And so I just really sat down to think about what it was that I had commit to. And again, were they going to help me accomplish what I wanted to accomplish in the long run? Was it going to help me stay on top of my goals? Was it going to help me be more organized? And I had time to think about that. And so, like, as a family, we love having family game night. But if I'm trying to record every day of the week, we won't have time to record. Not time to record. If I'm trying to record every day of the week, then we won't have time to play games. So I knocked my recording down to 3 days a week with very limited time. This was something that I was kind of worried about at first when I started recording people, but I was like, hey, I got to do what's best for me and my family. And so then I started thinking about, would I rather be a part of all these clubs and social groups, or would I rather be hanging with my husband and my son on the weekends, going to get food, checking out a park, taking a random trip to Buc-ee's, because I wanted some of their peach muffins. If you have not had the peach muffins from Buc-ee's, you need to try this. Buc-ee's is not sponsoring this episode. If they would like to, I'm down for that. But those peach muffins, y'all, are amazing. Had to throw that in there. Or going to Greenville for a random road trip because we wanted to go to Yard House. Also a really, really great place to eat at. And or traveling some other place because my son found this golf club, this mini golf place that he just had to try out on YouTube Kids. I decided that I'd take the latter. Not saying that doing the other things I wanted to do were not important, but they weren't a priority. So I just, after organizing my personal life, finances, and business, it was time for me to come up with the plan. And the major part of the plan was just honestly realizing that trying to do all the things makes for a very grumpy angel who lives on iced lattes and bagels. But then again, I also do that when I'm not grumpy. But you get my point, because who doesn't love a good iced latte? Ooh. And speaking of iced lattes, okay, sidetrack for a second here. So my new two favorite iced lattes are, I realized that I would rather have time spending with family than to be trying to do everything, not accomplish anything, and just be burnt out. So this episode is just a reminder to you that if you have not set up your priorities yet, go ahead and get your priorities set up. If you are doing things, think about how those things are going to align with your goals. Think about if those things are taking away time that you could be doing something else. Like if it's not leading towards you accomplishing something, or if it's not something that you're doing that brings you joy or some type of fulfillment, then it's probably not something that you should be doing. Create a plan, set your priorities, and create a plan for what it is that you're going to do, what it is that you're going to let go of, or just put on the back burner. Like I said, I'll take family game nights and random road trips to Buc-ee's over pretty much anything else. Stay organized, don't overcommit, and drink lots of iced lattes. All right, I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Modco Podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned something from it. Be sure to share this episode with a friend, family member, colleague, or anyone you think will enjoy it. Make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button. And if you love the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcasting app. That helps others to find us and gets us listed in other show recommendations. So you all know that I run on coffee, and so does the show. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by clicking on the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, and chat soon.